and welcome to the first episode of How to Make Up, and this is hopefully going to be a new series on my channel where I teach you just like the basics of makeup and like complexities also, like the complex things, because I've realized that a lot of people actually don't know how to do makeup. And people ask me, like my mom, she asked me the simplest thing. She was like, how do you do your blush? Like, your blush always looks so good. And I'm like, you don't know how to do blush? So I want to teach you everything there is about makeup. I want to teach you about eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, contour, bronzer, blush, all of that good stuff. And my favorite makeup to do is eyes and eyeshadow and eyeliner. That's just what I'm the most good at. So that's what we're gonna do today on the first episode. It's going to be the basics of eyeshadow. So where to put what shade of eyeshadow, what brushes to use, all of that basic stuff. And then in other episodes, I'm gonna go into more complex things like cut creases and how to do winged eyeliner and how to properly apply your mascara. So yeah, let's get right on to this first episode of the basics of eyeshadow. So first I'm gonna go over the brushes. So I have quite a few brushes for, I think these are all for eyeshadow, except for like there's spoolie and like this is for like winged liner, but all of these are like eye brushes or like eyebrows. I have two for eyebrows. But yeah, I'm just gonna get started on the first brush. I feel like I'm not centered. It's because I'm not. So if I look a little weird right now, that's because I'm not wearing any eyeshadow right now, because I'm gonna show you how to apply eyeshadow. So I just started this video with my full face on other than the eyes. So before you ever do your eyeshadow, you always want to prime. You want to use some kind of primer. You can use a real primer or you can use a concealer. The ones that I like to use for priming my eyes are either a concealer. I like to use the Maybelline Fit Me, and I like to use a lighter color for my primer because I feel like it just helps to make the eyeshadows pop. So this is the Maybelline Fit Me concealer in the shade Sand. And the other primer I like to use is a little more expensive. This is the MAC Pro Longwear Paint Pot, and mine is in the shade Painterly. So to apply those eyeshadow bases, I like to use either a brush or a sponge. I actually have a smaller sponge, which is perfect for priming your eyes. But yeah, this is the Real Techniques Expert Concealer Brush, and then this is the Ecotools sponge, and this is the best sponge that I've personally used. I also have the Real Techniques sponge, and there's just something about it that I don't like as much as this one. I feel like this just blends out my concealer really well, and that's usually what I use it for, my concealer. But I also use this one sometimes for eyeshadow primer, but I mainly use this, or even just my finger. I just take my ring finger and just apply the primer right onto my eyelid. So the next brush that I go in with after I prime my eyes is this brush, and this is optional, but I like to set that eye primer after I put it on because I feel like once you set the primer, it just helps the other eyeshadows to blend out on your eyelid. So I like to set that with this brush in particular. This is just my favorite brush for it, but you can honestly use like any flat brush, or you could even use a fluffy brush like what you use to set your concealer with. And this is a brush that I use for that. You could just like pat it right on there. But I like this one because it's smaller and more precise. And so usually I'll just go in with a like white cream kind of shadow and use this brush to set my lids. So once that is done, I like to go in with a more fluffy brush, and these three are my personal favorites, but any kind of bigger fluffy brush will work. This is the one that I mostly use, and this is going to be for it's called your transition shade, and it goes in your transition area, and I'm going to show you where that is and what shade to use once I'm done going over all the brushes. But this is the Ipsy L34 Blend Beauty, And I didn't get it in an Ipsy bag, but my ex-boyfriend's mom did, and she gave this to me, and it's honestly my favorite brush. Like, it's just amazing. And I also have the Morphe M514. This is a really good brush, but in my opinion, it's kind of like harsh, like it's kind of like prickly. But Morphe has amazing brushes, so I'm sure you'll find something that's similar to the M514. And another one that I like that's a little more expensive is the MAC 217. This was my very first like good makeup brush that I got, and I love this brush. I think this is a really good beginner brush, and if you don't want to spend the money on it, I know that Morphe has a dupe for this, which is much cheaper because Morphe is an amazing brand and they have really well priced, high quality items. But yeah, this is the MAC 217, and I love it because it's fluffy enough to blend out in like your transition shade. If you hold it like this way, I don't know if you can like see, but like if you hold it like the wide way, then you can go in your transition. If you hold it the thinner way, you can go in your crease, and it's also flat enough for you to pack shadows on your lid or your outer corner, and it's just a really good brush for like to do everything. So after you apply shadow in your transition area, you want to go a little bit lower down into your crease, and the MAC 217 is usually what I use. There's also another brush that I've been meaning to get, but every time I go into Ulta, they don't have it in stock, so I'm probably just going to order it like in the next few days. But it is the Morphe M507, and I want that brush so badly. It's just like it's small, but it's still like a little bit fluffy, so it's precise enough to get right in that crease and to blend it out, but like place that shadow perfectly in your crease. And I want it so badly, and I'm gonna buy it. I've been wanting to buy it for so long, but I'm gonna buy it. But yeah, this brush and the M507 are really good for in your crease, just like a little bit lower. And now some good brushes that I like for placing shadow right on my eyelids are, this one is actually my favorite, but this one doesn't have a name or anything. I just got this in an Ulta palette. It was like the Miss Jenny Fabulous palette. It was by a YouTuber. But I really like this brush for packing shadows on the lid because it's just like, I don't know, it's really nicely shaped, and I think it does a good job. But again, MAC 217, really good for that. And if you want something that's really cheap, then this e.l.f. brush, I don't even know what it's called. I think it's like the C-curve brush, or like the C-shape brush, or I don't know. e.l.f. has really good brushes, and they're only like $2 or $3. You just gotta like, some of them can be a little iffy. Like I had one that broke, but then I just glued it back into place and it works perfectly fine, and it's one of my favorite brushes. It's what I use for bronzing. But yeah, e.l.f. has some really good brushes for only a few dollars. e.l.f. is a really good brand. You can find a lot of good things from e.l.f. But also what I like to do is I like to use this. I know these kinds of brushes and like applicators get a lot of hate, but they're actually really good for applying like metallic or foil shadows onto the lid, because I think they kind of like mimic your fingertip, and your fingers are amazing for placing on any kind of shadow. Like, I don't really know about mattes, but metallics and foils, your finger will do an amazing job and make. Okay, I just got cut off. I ran out of time on my camera. Let me just center myself. Now I gotta move this way. Okay. As I was saying, yeah, you can pack shadows on with your fingertip, or this does a really good job if you don't want to get your finger dirty like me, because I get eyeshadow all over my clothes. But I really like these, and they can come in like big packs for only like a few dollars. You just get like the mini applicators. So now for applying shadow to your lower lash line down here. And my favorite is to use this brush. This also came from an Ipsy bag. This is the Ipsy T35 Precise Blending. Wait, there's like a name on it. I think that's the actual brand. I don't know what it says. But it came from an Ipsy bag that I also got from my ex-boyfriend's mom. She gave me a bunch of makeup. She's amazing. I love her. But yeah, I really like this brush for like really buffing out shadows on my lower lash line, and it's like really soft. And when I want to get even closer to my lower lash line, or like with a darker color, I like this brush. This is by Mary Kay. This is the Eye Smudger brush. Or if you like pencil brushes, I have these two. This one is by It Cosmetics, which is expensive, and I've had it for a while, so the name is pretty much gone. But I remember it was like the Smokey liner brush, I think this is called. It's super faded. I can barely see what it says. I think it says Smokey liner though. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And then I also have this brush. This is also by e.l.f. and it doesn't have a name. Oh, it has a number. 202. The 202 brush from e.l.f. And this one is kind of rough for my lower lash line. So what I like to use this for is for inner corner highlights. And also for inner corner highlight, I like to use the same e.l.f. brush that I mentioned before. The like C shape, C something, I don't know. And finally, for blending your shadows, I have these two brushes. This one is the e.l.f. blending brush, and this one was also from an Ipsy bag, and it's, I think that says Firma, and it's the 201. Yeah, these are just nice, fluffy brushes that'll like blend out your shadow. If you have like a harsh line right there and you don't want any more product, then just take a bare brush and just like blend it out. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over what shadows to put in what area. So for this example, I'm going to use my personal favorite palette. This is the Nubian by Juvia's Place, and all of Juvia's Place's shadows are incredible if you want to spend a little bit more money. Not even a little bit more. This is like a $20 palette, which is not a lot for, how many shades is that? 12. For 12 shadows. Yeah, this is an amazing palette. It's been well loved. I've hit pan into, oh my god, I hit pan there? When did that happen? No. Anyway, this right here is my all-time favorite eyeshadow. Out of probably every single palette that I have, this one is definitely my favorite, just because it's got the perfect undertones for a transition shade. It's so creamy and nicely pigmented, and it blends out perfectly, and I love their shadows. I have one other palette by Juvia's Place. It's the Saharan palette, and that one's a little more colorful, but if you're like just starting out and you want a more neutral palette, this one is absolutely perfect. So yeah, I'm gonna go through and show you what shadows to use and where to put them. So first I'm going to prime my eyes using the Maybelline Fit Me in the shade Sand. And I'm just going to blend that out using my Real Techniques Expert Concealer Brush. So first I would start off with a super fluffy brush, and I would take this transition shade right here, my favorite shade out of the whole palette. I would take my fluffy brush, put it in the pan, and then I would just sweep it into my transition area, and my transition area is right here, like starting from the crease all the way to the brow bone, but you don't have to like take it all the way to the eyebrow, like that's a little high. You want to take it like to the brow bone, like a little bit below the brow bone, and you just want to fluff that out, and you want to just like make it super blended out, and that will help the other shadows to just like blend and look really just, I don't know how to describe it. I'm really bad at describing things. I apologize. But it makes the shadows look really blended out and just like beautiful, and not like it goes from your bare skin tone to like a dark color. You don't want that. You want them to be nicely blended out. Like kind of like a gradient, I guess. And a nice trick for blending out, especially in the crease and transition area, you want to use little circular motions, because that'll just help to really blow out the shadows and make them seamlessly blended. By the way, For almost every single look I do, I go into this shadow. Just because I feel like it looks flattering with every single shade you would want to use in your crease. And it's just the perfect for that transition between your natural skin tone to the other eyeshadows on your eye that you're going to be putting down. So next what I would do is I would go into a slightly darker color. I would go into this like medium dark chocolate brown, and I would put that right in my crease. So your crease is right where your eye kind of like folds. It's like, well, I mean, depending on your eye shape and if you have hooded eyes or really big lids like me, I have huge eyes. So right where like the brow bone ends and like the socket of your eye begins, that's your crease. So you want to put a little bit of a darker color in your crease because it'll add a nice definition for your eyes. And you want to take a fluffy but kind of smaller brush for putting shadows into your crease. And to blend that out, you want to use either that brush that you use to apply that darker shadow in your crease, or you could go back in with your brush that you use for your transition shade, or you can take a completely clean blending brush. You just want to make sure that your shadows are nicely blended. So then what I would do for a natural smoky eye, kind of natural smoky eye, which is like what I'm showing you right now, is I will go into a even darker shade. So I would go into this really dark chocolate brown, like a kind of like dark chocolate. Right there, like that's like milk chocolate, that's dark chocolate. So go into that darker brown shade, and then I would take, normally what I do is I take my MAC 217, I use that to place the medium colored shadow in my crease, and then I take it again and I switch it to the flat side, and then I take my darker shadow and I place it right on the outer corner right there. And I use that same brush to blend everything out. And then what I do is I take any kind of shimmer shadow. This one has quite a few. But for this demonstration, I'm going to go in with this gold shadow. And I'm going to take any kind of flat brush or even my finger or that sponge applicator. And I place that right on my eyelid. Either a clean blending brush, or I take my last brush that I use to apply the shadow on my outer corner, and I use that to blend that darker color with the metallic or foil color. You can even use a matte shadow on your lid that's a little bit lighter. There's so many different things you can do with eyeshadow, so many different eyeshadow looks, but this is my go-to look. I feel like this is the easiest kind of look to do, where you do a lighter transition shade, a little bit of darker crease shade, dark outer corner, and then a metallic or foil on the lid. I feel like that's the most basic look you can get. But another super easy look you can do is a halo eye, and I love halos for my kind of like more natural days because I feel like I don't need a wing liner when I do halo eye, and I love having a wing liner. Like, I feel like it just really lifts my eyes up, but we're not gonna talk much about wing liners in this episode. That's for a future episode because wings are a little complicated. It took me like 2 years to finally actually it took me like a year. When did I start wings? 10th grade? And I didn't perfect it until like mid 11th grade, late 11th grade, something like that. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to do a halo eye, and I'm going to use this Milani palette. This is a great palette. Milani has a bunch of different ones of these palettes, and they're small and cute. They come with a nice brush. The brush is actually really good. I like it. But this one is my favorite. This is the Earthy Elements palette. So if you don't know what a halo eye is, it's where you have your transition shade, and then you could go in with a darker shade in the crease. I usually don't. But then what you do is you go in with the same colored shadow on your inner portion of your eye and the outer portion of your eye, and then you put a lighter color in the middle. I like to put a kind of shimmery or metallic or foiled in the center, but you could also use a lighter matte shadow. So for this look, I'm going to use this shadow right here, and I'm going to use that as my transition shade. And then once I have blended that out with my transition brush, I could go in with a little bit of a darker chocolate brown. I would probably use the one from the Juvia's Place palette, but sometimes I don't like to do that. Sometimes I like to hop right into the shadow on my lids. And so I'm going to go into this orange shadow right here. And I'm going to put that on the inner and outer portion of my eye. And then I'm also going to bring it up into the middle of my crease and blend that all the way out so that there's a nice transition between your transition shade and your lid crease kind of shade. And then once I have blended all of that out, I'm going to go in with this lighter kind of like cream shimmery shade right here. And then I'm going to put that right on the center of my lid. And then I'm even going to go in with this right here. And this is kind of just like, I don't know. It's a weird shadow. It's basically just shimmer. So it doesn't really have any color to it. It's just shimmer. And I'm going to pat that right over that other shadow. And it's just going to add a little bit of more pizzazz. So now I have finished both of the eye looks that I showed you today. They're both super simple, and you can switch up these colors with any colors that you like. Like you can change this to a blue on the lid, or a purple, or anything colorful, or even not colorful. You could do like, I don't know, there was this light shade in this palette. You could put that on the lid. Oh my god, that's so pigmented. Girl. And another great palette if you really want to explore makeup, like you're really getting into makeup and you know that you love it already, then I would suggest you go with the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe. They sell these in some Ulta stores, or you could order it right online at the Morphe website. This was like $28 or $30 around there, which is not a bad price for the amount of shadows that you're getting. Like, look at all of these, and the quality of the, I just put my finger on the blue. The quality of these are all amazing. The mattes are great. They blend out perfectly. The metallics and foils are super pigmented. And also another trick that I like to use to get an even more pigmented metallic or foil shadow is I like to spray on any setting spray. I know that the MAC Fix Plus is a favorite for this, but you just put the shadow, you take your brush and you grab any shadow that you want. I'm gonna go with this bronze one right here. And you just put some of that on your brush, and then you take your setting spray, any setting spray, and you spray that. You spray the brush a couple times, and then when you apply it, it's super just like wow. Like, it makes the shadow even more foiled and metallic and pigmented. So that's a nice trick to know. But you don't always have to do that. Like, I didn't today with this side, and it still looks really nice. But if I did do that, it would look super just like bam in your face. But yeah, you could take any shadow, and this look is, I like this look. It's a very universal look because instead of the gold, you could do anything. Like, this look would go with any color. I could put the blue there, or that blue, or that purple, or I could do these two. These two are some of my favorite shadows in the entire palette. They're super unique. But I could honestly put any single color on my lid with this transition shade, this crease, this outer corner. And that's why it's my favorite look, and that's why I show it to you today. And you could, oh my god, my palette looks pretty dirty. I mean, you can't see it on camera. Kind of can right there. Damn, I hate when my palettes get dirty. That's a, oof. I always try to keep my palettes clean. But, yeah, and I like this one for, like, it's a little more natural, but it's still pretty, and it still makes my eyes pop, especially because I used orange and my eyes are green and blue. So it really makes my eyes pop. But I need to scooch over a little bit so that I'm centered. And another nice tip to know, you can always do your eyeshadow in whatever order you want to do. Like, you can do your face makeup first and then your eyes, or you could do your eyes first and then your face makeup. A lot of people that I watch on YouTube, they like to do their eye makeup first just because if any of the eyeshadow falls down onto their face, like right here, and they're already wearing concealer, then it could smudge, and then if you're using like blue eyeshadow, you could have blue eyeshadow under your eyes, which is not a great thing to have. But what I like to do, I always like to do my eyeshadow like second. So my order that I go in is I do my concealer, because I don't wear liquid foundation. So I do my concealer first, and then I do my eyeshadow. And to make sure that I don't get any fallout and like that eyeshadow falling down onto my face, I like to, once I pick up the shadow, like this, I always tap off the excess like that, and that makes sure that you have no fallout. That's a nice little trick to know. But I think that is all I have to say for this episode on the basics of eyeshadow. So I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and you can comment down below anything else you would like to see from this series. Anything you want to know about makeup. I already have some stuff in mind for the next few episodes, but tell me what you want to see. It helps me out. And if you do want to see other episodes like this and learn more about makeup, be sure to subscribe, and that'll just help me out. It'll help you out because you'll learn more about makeup. So I think that's about all I have to say. I'm going to list down below in the description box everything that I use. I'm going to try to. I don't think I'll be able to list some of the brushes, but I'm going to try to list just about everything that I used. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. I'm bad at outros. Bye. So after your transition, normally what I take, is I take, stop texting me! Okay. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, I got shadow on my leggings. Yikes. Oh, I forgot about... Damn it! Put the same colored shadow on your inner... Oh my god, that's my middle finger. I'm so sorry. And then I take my brush. I take either a blending brush. I take either a clean brush. I take... Jesus Christ! I don't know why I didn't wear eyeshadow for this tutorial, because I'm gonna do a cut. I'm dumb. That's it. I'm dumb. And I've already recorded like 30 minutes, so I'm not gonna go back to put on eyeshadow. I really should have though. That's a damn shame. Okay, anyway!